active foe. We are in the Caribbean, where the Atlantic meets the Caribbean Sea, where our people greet each other with warmth, with resilience. And so we open our hearts and our minds to all our guests who are with us today. We open our minds and our hearts to the partnership, to the dialogue, and to the conversation about economic prosperity, wealth creation, trade, development, and ultimately the dignity of African people everywhere. And so today we talk not just about Africa and the Caribbean, we speak of global Africa. And global Africa means Africa and its diaspora everywhere it is.
Welcome to Talk of Africa 360, your source for insightful news, analysis, and thoughtful commentary. If you value informed perspectives and fact-based reporting, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is based on reliable public sources and credible online information. It is intended strictly for educational and analytical purposes. We do not promote or endorse political violence, hate speech, or any form of discrimination. Our goal is to inform, not to inflame. Thanks for being here. Let's stay informed together.
Something incredible is happening, quietly yet powerfully reshaping the global landscape. It's a movement that might not be making headlines every day, but its impact is steadily growing. Two regions, Africa and the Caribbean, long separated by history, colonial legacies, and the vast expanse of the Atlantic, are coming together in a remarkable display of unity and shared purpose. For centuries, their stories were written by others, often distorted by prejudice and self-interest. Their destinies were decided in distant capitals, far removed from the realities and aspirations of their people. But now, they're writing their own chapter, on their own terms, defining their future with agency and determination. This isn't just about trade agreements or political alliances, it's a profound family reunion, a powerful reclaiming of their shared narrative and cultural heritage. Africa and the Caribbean are often portrayed as places that perpetually need external help and intervention, but that narrative is rapidly changing, driven by their own innovation and resilience. They're not simply trying to catch up to the developed world, they're forging their own unique path, building economies and societies that reflect their values and priorities. This alliance is a bold declaration. We're not waiting for a seat at the table that others have built, we're building our own table, setting our own agenda. By joining forces and fostering collaboration, they're creating a new center of gravity in the global order, pooling their abundant resources, diverse talents, and immense human potential. It's not about rejecting engagement with the rest of the world, but about engaging as equals, with mutual respect and shared benefits. Their children will see opportunity not just by looking north to traditional power centers, but also across the ocean to their brothers and sisters. The timing of this alliance is no accident. Old alliances are looking shaky and increasingly unreliable, and many powerful nations are turning inward, prioritizing their own narrow interests. In this global environment of uncertainty and chaos, Africa and the Caribbean see a unique chance to build something more resilient, sustainable, and equitable for their people and future generations. They're turning to each other for innovative solutions, shared experiences, and a common vision for the future. This is more than just a passing trend or a fleeting moment. It's a seismic shift in global consciousness and power dynamics. It's a compelling story of hope, resilience, defiance, and two regions boldly defining their future together on their own terms. The world should be watching closely because this alliance has the potential to reshape the 21st century. To understand this alliance, you have to look back at a painful shared history. The transatlantic slave trade tore millions from Africa, sending them to the Caribbean and Americas. This suffering built the wealth of Europe and America. After slavery, colonialism and neocolonialism kept both regions dependent and exploited. Borders were drawn, resources extracted, and profits sent abroad. Even after independence, economic chains remained. Loans with strings, economies structured for the West. Africa and the Caribbean were trapped in cycles of debt and dependency. This shared experience of exploitation is the glue of their new alliance. It's not about holding grudges, but learning from the past. They know waiting for the powerful to act in their interest is futile. The only way forward is to build new connections, based on respect and shared prosperity. This alliance is their answer to centuries of being on the receiving end of global power. Now they're taking control. Why is this happening now at this particular moment in history? What confluence of factors has made this the right time for Africa and the Caribbean to forge a stronger bond? It's a perfect storm, a convergence of needs, opportunities, and a shared understanding that the old ways of doing things simply aren't working anymore. A new generation of leaders is stepping up, leaders who are not bound by the constraints of the past. This new wave of leadership in both regions grew up in independent nations. They're ambitious, driven by a vision of self-determination and progress, tech-savvy, embracing the power of digital innovation to leapfrog traditional development models, and tired of old power dynamics, the unequal relationships that have historically defined their interactions with the West. They see the gap between Western promises and reality, the unfulfilled pledges of aid, the persistent inequalities, visa restrictions that hinder movement and collaboration, creating barriers instead of bridges, unfair trade, agreements that favor Western interests at the expense of African and Caribbean economies, constant lectures, the patronizing tone that suggests they are somehow less capable of charting their own course. The world is now multipolar, offering new avenues for partnership and cooperation, with new powers rising and more options for alliances, allowing them to diversify their relationships and reduce their dependence on traditional partners. Africa and the Caribbean are asking, why should they continue to accept the status quo? Why not become our own pole of influence, a force to be reckoned with on the global stage? Relying on Western markets has proven risky. The global financial crisis demonstrated the vulnerability of economies tied too closely to the West. When the West stumbles, so do they, highlighting the need for greater economic independence and diversification. They want resilient economies that serve their people first, prioritizing sustainable development and inclusive growth. Who better to partner with than those who share your struggles, your history, and your aspirations? There's a cultural shift too, a growing sense of cultural pride and identity, pride, self-belief, and a reverse brain drain, with talented individuals returning home to contribute to their nation's development. Afrobeats, Nollywood, are not just entertainment, and Caribbean artists are global successes. They are powerful symbols of cultural influence and economic potential, proving their culture's value and challenging Western cultural hegemony. This confidence is fueling political and economic action, driving a new era of collaboration and innovation. They're no longer asking for permission. They are taking the initiative, setting their own agendas. They're building the future they want, a future defined by their own values and priorities. And they know they'll build it faster, more efficiently, and stronger together, by pooling their resources, sharing their expertise, and supporting each other's growth. The motivation is simple: a fundamental desire for a better future, survival, in an increasingly competitive and uncertain world, prosperity, for all their citizens, not just a privileged few, and dignity, the right to be treated with respect and to have their voices heard on the global stage. The time is now, the moment to seize the opportunity and build a brighter future together. The alliance is real, and its potential is limitless. So, what does this alliance actually look like in practice beyond the initial agreements and declarations? What are the concrete steps being taken? It's definitely more than just talk and symbolic gestures. This is about real action. Trade is a huge focus, a cornerstone of this new partnership. Direct shipping lanes and air routes are being established, connecting Africa and the Caribbean directly, cutting out the middleman. No more sending cocoa to Europe, only to have it processed and sold back at a premium. Now, they trade directly, fostering local economies and empowering their own producers. This cuts costs and increases profits for both sides. Technology and knowledge sharing are absolutely key, vital for sustainable growth. Africa's burgeoning fintech expertise is proving invaluable, helping Caribbean nations build robust and inclusive digital economies. The Caribbean's decades of tourism know-how, a major economic driver for the region, is now helping African countries develop and grow their own tourism sectors in a sustainable and culturally sensitive way. They're building capacity from within, not relying on external aid, but as equals, sharing resources and expertise. Education bridges are rising rapidly. Joint university programs and vibrant student exchanges are creating lifelong connections and fostering a shared sense of identity. A new generation is growing up, more connected than ever before. They're seeing themselves as part of a much larger, interconnected global community, bound by shared history and aspirations. Diplomatically, they're coordinating their positions in global forums, speaking with a unified voice and presenting a united front. This collective strength gives them significant leverage, a powerful negotiating position. Over 1.4 billion people simply cannot be ignored on the world stage. They're demanding fundamental reforms to a global system that has for too long been tilted against them and other developing nations. Ultimately, it's about building real, tangible connections that will last for generations. They're moving as one cohesive unit, not as isolated voices lost in the noise. This alliance is practical, it's powerful, and it's undoubtedly here to stay for the long haul. The world is taking notice, and the implications are profound. This isn't just theory. Real projects are already changing lives. The Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum has led to over $1 billion in new deals. Ghanaian companies are investing in Caribbean renewables. Jamaican firms are building ports in Nigeria. Money and expertise are flowing south-south, creating jobs and opportunities. Direct flights like those from Nigeria's Airpeace now connect the regions. No more detours through Europe or the US. This makes business, travel, and family connections easier than ever. In finance, Afrexim Bank is helping Caribbean states access trade financing, leveling the playing field. They're building their own alternative to Western-dominated financial systems. A new subsea fiber optic cable will boost internet speeds and data sovereignty. Their digital traffic won't have to pass through the West. Greater security, lower costs. This is critical infrastructure for the digital age. By building their own digital highway, they're becoming creators, not just consumers. These projects prove the alliance is real and already transforming lives. The future is being built now. The alliance has given Africa and the Caribbean a powerful, unified voice. On reparations for slavery and colonialism, the African Union now backs the Caribbean's call, making it impossible to ignore. When Western leaders make dismissive remarks, the response is swift and coordinated. On climate change, they negotiate together, demanding justice for those least responsible but most affected. Their message: do not talk about us without us. They're challenging the paternalism of the past, insisting on partnership, not patronage. On democracy and governance, they reject outside interference and call out Western hypocrisy. This unity is about resetting relationships, mutual respect, mutual benefit. They're no longer junior partners or pawns. Their agency is clear, their demands firm. This united voice is a direct challenge to the old global order. The days of dictating terms are over. This alliance is a cultural reunion as much as a political one. Afrobeats and reggae artists are collaborating, creating a new global sound. Festivals like Afrochella and Afro Nation unite the diaspora, celebrating shared heritage. Writers and filmmakers are telling stories that resonate on both sides of the Atlantic. Academic exchanges are unearthing erased histories, piecing together the family tree. Food is a connector. Fusion cuisines blend West African and Caribbean flavors. Every dish tells a story of survival and connection. Young people in Nairobi and Kingston connect online, sharing music, challenges, and dreams. This grassroots connection is the alliance's strongest foundation. It's not imposed from above, it's growing from the people. The Atlantic is no longer a barrier but a bridge. The Africa-Caribbean Alliance could inspire the world. It's a new playbook for development. Prosperity without dependence on superpowers. South-South cooperation is becoming reality, not just rhetoric. They're proving solutions can come from neighbors, not distant capitals. This could spark similar alliances, creating a more equitable global system. On climate change and economic reform, their united voice brings urgency and justice. They're not just asking for a seat. They're changing the menu. Diaspora communities in the West see a model of self-determination and pride. It's a blueprint for empowerment, adaptable everywhere. The alliance shows it's possible to overcome division and build strength together. It's hope in action. The world is watching and learning. Where does this lead? To a more balanced, just, and dynamic world. African and Caribbean destinies are in their own hands. Entrepreneurs and innovators are solving real problems together. Their combined power means negotiating from strength, not weakness. This isn't about isolation, it's a new paradigm of collaboration. They're building bridges, not walls, bridges they own and design. The alliance is an act of self-respect. We are enough. Together we are unstoppable. Challenges remain old habits, internal disagreements, external pressures, but the momentum is undeniable. This partnership is built to last, grounded in shared identity and mutual interest. It's a story of hope and resilience, transforming wounds into strength. The alliance is a promise to ancestors and children alike. The future is theirs to write together.
As reactions continue to pour in from across the continent, One thing is clear. Africa is demanding respect, sovereignty, and accountability. Was this just a diplomatic misstep or a deeper sign of shifting global alliances? We'll be watching closely. If you found this story important, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real, unfiltered African news. This is Talk of Africa 360, telling the stories that matter.